their time. The future is our time.
Good evening, Eden Park. I am not Mr. Ashok Paiva. I am Nathan, also known as Dolly Auntie's son or Athena's daughter. Okay, so first up, welcome to EP Talks, and thank you, huge thanks to everyone who has come here today. So today, we have a fighter pilot who has served the nation for 22 years and has flown in MiG-21s, MiG-29s, and the state-of-the-art Sukhoi aircraft. He was a fighter combat instructor and the IAF's Top Gun, just like the one you saw on the clip before, but that one was for the US. And the Top Gun Academy that we have in India is called TACDE. and it encompassed teaching fighter pilots the art of weaponing and maneuvering a fighter aircraft during combat. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Mr. Ashok Paiva to the stage.
Thank you very much, Nathan. You've been very generous with your words. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. I'm Ashok here. And how much of effort did you put in to make that PPT? It looked fabulous.
Well, mostly it was my dad's thinking, like the Matrix and everything, like the starting part. He loves Tom Cruise and everything. So it's mostly his effort, but the speech was all mine. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, kudos to you and thank you so much, Nathan. Yeah, come, please. So, okay, firstly, it's I think too much of generosity on Team Ashok and Nate to have come out with such a wonderful idea and then a presentation. So I must just take you back, though time was at premium, but it's pretty nostalgic. You know, me and Ashok Maharaj.
We are filming this, so can you come to the center so that you are in the camera? Yeah, perfect.
So me and Mr. Ashok Maharaj from TCS, we had met up with another friend of his, Mr. Anup, and their families in one of the camps. And precisely this was the last, kind of a national event day for us on 14th of August evening. And 15th of August was Independence Day. And so again today we're meeting up on 26th of January, right? So something to do with national stuff and me, I think. Okay, so without taking much time of yours, to start off with, so we spoke on this, what do we talk about? He wanted me to kind of motivate people, and I feel we all need to get motivated, right? Life is about self-motivation and drive and keep the energy going and carry on with life, solving life's riddles, challenges of life and all that. So I came out with the great topic of grit and determination. So I said, okay, let me try and make an attempt for it. So in the next about 20-30 minutes of my talk to you, I will talk about grit and determination and what is life for me at 36,000 feet, right? 36,000 if I'm not wrong. So 36,000 feet is primarily because I am an aviator. I was in the National Defense Academy and then went on to join the Air Force and been flying since then. So it's been almost 29 years now that I've been flying. And I retired from the Air Force about 6.5 years back, and presently I'm employed with Indigo Airlines as a pilot and as an instructor and all that. So more when we have the presentation. So generally seeing the crowd, I pitched my presentation at the level of probably kids and teenage. Very little content for adults, I think. I think most of you can give me hints of how to go about grit and determination. And so a lot of slides with photographs and all, to just pump up the energy. Please don't mistake me as me batting my own tail. It is just to get the energy up, right? And they are the future generation. It's lovely to see that energy with everyone out here. Thank you so much once again, and without further delay, I think we can start with the presentation. Are we okay, Ashok? Can we go ahead with it? Yes, great. Thanks. Where's my son, Aryan? Okay, good. Thanks. That's my son, Aryan, who's going to help me with these slides. Can we have the lights off, please? Thank you so much. We can put that halogen also off, and then we'll bring it on a little later. It's my voice and the color there. Okay, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Group Captain Ashok Paiva, retired from the Air Force a few years back. So the talk given to me was life at 36,000 feet and further up into grit and determination. So primarily, everyone in life achieves a lot of things as we journey down life and keep going along with our challenges, like I said earlier. So what is it that takes or causes that formula of winning? And nowadays how objective we are with various analysis, with research, trying to find out why is X person doing well, B person doing well, Z company doing well, Y company. So we've all come out very objectively with various kinds of analytical tools and studies and research. So we found that one very interesting topic, which is grit and determination. So what does grit and determination mean? So grit essentially from the dictionary is a verb. It is a resolve to do something which is difficult or unpleasant. And the next one is the adjective determination, which is a firmness of purpose and a resolve not to change it. Making little sense. As we go through, we'll see furthermore. And children, let me tell you, this is the last of the grammar that I'm teaching you, okay? After this is all only slides and videos. So basically it is about wanting to do something with a determination, however difficult it will be, and I don't waver from my thing that I've chosen. When you want grit and determination, you can do that only if you have an aim in hand. What gets that aim in each one of us is a particular sequence of events, influences in life, something which gives us, a drive, an energy, a motivation. And that brings me to my next slide, which is, this was my aim in life. So what I will do today in the talk is, I'm not a good English teacher, so I will try and give you life's examples of my own, of how I went about my life, and presumably, not very, I'll say, I never look at myself as a success model. I'm still learning, still trying to do something better. There is an inherent challenge in me going on every day. So it is just a few examples of mine, what I had as takeaways from this entire journey of my life. And then we will, take on your queries and questions, whatever we have at the end. So this was my aim. The cockpit on the left is a MiG-29 cockpit, glass cockpit. And on the left side of the slide actually, and on the right, you can see a pilot strapped in his G-suit with an oxygen mask. And there's a hose, and he's wearing a dinghy. That is, when you fly over the ocean, you have to wear a MAE vest, M-A-E vest. So interestingly, this is something like I had dreamt of. Now when I'm talking of these dreams which are coming into my mind, I'm talking about the year 1988-89, when I was in class 10, okay? So I was brought up in a small town in Orissa, which I'll be talking to in the next slide. So I had to go through this dream in my own mind from just a photograph. And my father used to work for an aeronautical company called Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So they used to dish out these yearly calendars. So there were aero engines, there were some aeroplanes. So those aeroplane photographs, I would get it onto my study table, pin it in front of my table, and daydream. And get talela kottu, sit and study, don't dream. And that is how I started. The dream came into me, and then I will just tell you how it evolved. Okay, so this is what I was wanting to do. So then came this thing called Connecting the Grit. Like I said, a very famous book, Grit by Angela. In fact, I got introduced to it by Ashok only. I just happened to read snippets of this book. It talks about having something called a passion and then a perseverance. That means passion, and then you keep working on that till you achieve what you want in life. Correct? So passion is something which you feel emotional about. You have an emotive connect with that particular. It can be anything. It can be for a lady to buy a particular jewelry, for a man to buy a particular car, a mobile phone, anything, or a dream, ambition for any one of us. Somebody wanting to go and study in a foreign university, to have a startup company. Everyone has some passion. Passion is the core around which the whole thing starts. It gives you an inherent motivation and energy. Everybody is human. How does it feel that somebody feels very sleepy at 10:30? Somebody says, no, I have something to work. I have something to dream of. I have something to achieve. And it drives you. That is passion. And you have an inner calling. It draws you to that. It draws you towards that like. It draws you towards that particular crave that you have. And then that aligns with a dream. Okay? So towards the end, there is a portion which I bring about what Abdul Kalam says, dream, dream, dream. When you dream, you have thoughts. And when you have thoughts, you'll have actions. And that is so very true. I got to see this line of Abdul Kalam only when I left the forces, when I had some time to read up and all, So yeah, so that's a MiG-29 aircraft with its afterburners on. And somehow this aircraft always kept drawing my attention, my like, things like that. Next slide. Okay, so this is how my journey went on. There, if you see, that is the little Ashok. It seems just few years back. but that pic on the extreme left is when I'm just about walking and my father is holding me and teaching me to walk. So this pic is 48 years old. So that gives you a hint of how young I am. Okay, so I love pets too. The next one is an onward journey of mine up to school. So what happened is, in my childhood, I was a big introvert. I would literally shit bricks to, hold the mic, talk to an audience. And then how did this change happen? Okay, so I will explain to you that also. And then yes, a lot of performance pressure. We were from a classic middle class family at home. And the parents always want the children to do better than themselves. They want the next generation to evolve in a better way. Every good, loving parent will want that from every child. Nothing wrong in it. And yes, I had to deliver because my father was going to retire in just the time that I was finishing 12th and one more year to go. So I had to achieve something. How was I in studies? Next question is coming up. Okay, but there was a crazy need for speed. Every boy, or I won't say now it's a wrong thing to say. Every person has a love for, adrenaline rush. So I had a crave for speed, and there was no need for speed game, no internet with me. I said 1988. All we got, getting a color television in the society was a big thing in life. So all we did was talking to elders, talking to people, going on cycle to meet people, interacting with somebody, and there I connected with somebody whose son, or rather actually that person was that uncle was a colleague of my father at office, and his son was a special forces officer, which is called a para commando in the Indian Army, and he was actually back on vacation at that time, and when he connected me to what is National Defence Academy. Okay, so HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, where my father worked, used to have these engines which are tested there. So all the fighter aeroplane engines come there for testing, they get repaired, they get serviced, parts are replaced, and a new life is given to them there. It's called something called MR, or major repairs to the engines. So down there, I used to have this testing sound, far away from where the office or the factory was, the houses, we could hear the rumble during those periods when the things would run. So what happened, in the evening, my mom was very particular about my study time. So I had to get back home by sharp 6 p.m. If I didn't get back at 6 p.m., I would be asked to kneel down outside the house, and my father would arrive at 6:30 or 7 p.m. And only one thing my mother needed to do. Children, what does mama do to dada when you all come late, when you don't behave? Screw it, correct? That's it. And then I would be black and blue. So it started like that. Now, I used to have this crave for that jet noise. So I would take my cycle, 5:45, rush, hear the jet noise near the factory, rumbling, feel that vibration, goosebumps, and then I would come back home. And I would be very pumped up. I would come from school at 4:30, go to play football, go do this. So much of energy I had. That noise gave me that energy. Next came the personality that I was. Yes, I was very analytical. I hated geography, history, history, English. Hindi was my big, if I can call it the Bermuda Triangle. It used to always take me into a big spiral. Marks, parents' pressure, and don't ask me. So I loved maths, physics, and chemistry. And of course, I love to play all kinds of games. So I started realizing, how do I connect this choice of mine? It was not so analytical like the way I'm talking today. But then it just happened that Employment News came out with this advertisement called NDA. And the next slide, Arjun. And then I had to, choose and make one particular thing to reach this destination of flying a fighter aeroplane. How could I get that? So this ambition came into my mind through that connect which I said, National Defence Academy. So there was a passion. Then opportunity came through. I will call it luck or opportunity, whichever way. And they're aligning now. And hence I went digging into National Defence Academy. Again, like I said, no books. We just had one book in the bookstore which gave us hints on how to clear your Services Selection Board interview. Little did I know that a Services Selection Board interview is like, choosing after 5 days of rigorous selection. So there were like physical tests, there are psychological tests, there are group tests, then there is the president's interview. After that you go for your written, and then you go for a proper medical of 5 days, and then the written and your interview marks add up, and then comes the merit, of UPSC, and then you get selected. So long process, in short. Okay, and there, so that's a beautiful building of National Defense Academy. It's called the Sudan Building. And all these pictures, by the way, are all open source information, so you can Google and check it up. And yeah, on the extreme right, you have a 5 aircraft Sukhoi 30 formation. We call it the Finger 5. So that's it. National Defense Academy is a very interesting place. It's something called, we call it at the entrance of NDA, it's written, maker of men. This was the place where I undertook a total transformation, and literally transformation. It was a place which actually grilled you, groomed you, I won't say ever cuddled, never, but treated you like a soldier, getting you ready for the battlefield, getting you ready for life in general and for a soldier's life. So what did we do in NDA? In NDA, we used to have a host of activities. So if you see on the top left is a lot of running. Almost every time these legs would only be running. They'd never be static. And that's a cross-country event on the extreme left. On the bottom, you see some firing happening. And then that's me in uniform. I was lucky enough to be, we have various squadrons. So A, B, C, D, E, F on that Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Romeo. So I was a squadron cadet captain of Juliet Squadron in your 6th term. So that is in the end of your 3rd year. So something very interesting. So NDA, like I said, was a transformation time. I also went through a personal, mishap at home, wherein during my transition from 3rd to 4th term, and I was just about 1.5 years into my graduation in NDA, or precisely, if I'm not wrong, about 18 years of age, I lost my father to a mild heart attack, and yes, there were some problems, and we lost him. So that was an overnight evolution for me. To mature in both ways. There's a social maturity happening in me, transformation happening in me, and at the same time, professionally, I'm building up into something. So, a lot of help from my real bum chums or friends, like we call them buddies. In the forces, it's like I cannot see who's behind me. So my wingman, my buddy, looks after my ass, and I look after his life behind. So that's how the equation works always when you are in forces. And that's what happens in fighter flying also. And that's how I evolved, and lucky enough, I was doing well initially, then I just hit the pits, and then I started recovering back. And I came out as a squadron cadet captain, and that's me receiving the Chief of Staff's banner from the Vice Chief of Army Staff for the squadron's #1 performance. And you can imagine 155 cadets, each one is at the peak of his physical performance, and we have a host of competitions spanning games, cross-country, firing, you have flying competitions, then you have academic competitions, then you have drill competitions, and there are umpteen number. And to get that is a great success quotient. But believe you me, it's just 1 by 1/50th of the population that a leader is. It was my team. We were lucky to have an exceptional group of people, everyone, the people from scratch, bottom to upwards. So yeah, and that's a passing out parade. So another thing which you see from the passing out parade looks beautiful, right? It takes a lot of toil, hard work, discipline, punishments, in number of things. I'll just give you an example. So when we do parade, you need to make sound when you stamp. So there are something called nails on the bottom surface of your shoes. So when you stamp, it gives you the sound. And there is a heel with metal. So when we go for your drill every morning, you don't just get up, you don't have porridge, you don't go fresh like that. You get up, as a junior term, you have PT, you will have some sorting out happening, some punishment, you will have to go get yourself ready, you will have to get your shoes polished, and you'll get a uniform ready, get yourself inspected by an immediate senior, and then you get yourself presented outside for the parade in the squadron, where the cadet appointments check you out for your turnout, and then you head out to your place of work, which is your PT ground or your parade square. That's how the day starts in India. So if one nail in your shoe is missing, you know what is the punishment? There's a fort near Pune or in Kadakwasla where NDA is. It's called Sinagad. So Sinagad Fort is an old fort of Shivaji. You have to traverse this distance of almost 28 kilometers with a backpack and a rifle. A rifle is about 4.5 kgs in weight, and the backpack will weigh about 8 to 10 kgs in weight. You will wear your entire dress code, like the bottom left of that slide, and with this rifle and backpack, you will travel up on a Sunday morning when the whole world is enjoying themselves with one cross-country run, finishes at 9 o'clock and then the free. But you will go all the way up at 5 o'clock, come back down by 12:31, your day is done. For one nail that's missing on the sole of your shoe. So that's how they bring in accountability, that's how they bring in discipline, that's how they bring in compliance, and that compliance goes into your bone marrow. Okay. Now, so that's a little thing about NDA, and why I'm relating all this is because how does that determination, how does that grit, how does these things come into, some of us, or how can you build it up? Yeah, next slide. So there was no question asked about why a certain thing happens. You had faith in the system, you had belief in the hierarchy, and you went by the orders and instructions. That's what NDA taught us. And then we come down to, yes, now when I made this dream of getting into NDA, what are the obstacles? The first thing was my mother. Only paiyan, pa. The military. Fighter flying, no way. So I have an elder sister, and she's about 5 years elder, and I was the only one, and then this thing happened. So when I joined NDA, very interestingly, my father didn't tell my mother that I'm joining Air Force. He said, paiyan on the Navy ku poran. So she was very okay. So we're graduating, and suddenly she says, where is Navy? And my mom is so simple. I mean, she's a proper housewife, not very well read. So I would say, Mummy, Cochin, la Hyderabad la kuda irukku. So she'll say Cochin or Hyderabad. Sorry, how many non-Tamilians here? Okay, my mistake. Apologies. So I'll stick to English, Hindi, and Tamil. Is it okay? National integration. Great. So so then we went on to go into the Air Force, and then so finally when I was graduating out of Air Force Academy. So it was like, I told you should have been in the Navy. Your father, it didn't tell me. He got that form signed, and you signed it from him, and this, that. But he allowed me to follow my passion. He allowed me to live my dream the way I wanted, but definitely he was nurturing my dream. He was keeping a hawk eye on what I was doing and everything like that. And those days was not like, WhatsApp. Tonight, give me a WhatsApp update. Huh? You come home, all is safe. You had your lunch, you had your dinner and all. No. It was just a weekly once phone call. And that also you dial from the squadron phone, you connect to the exchange, one STD number. Oh my God, it was crazy. You heard of this thing called Tropo? No. Used to, old people will know that. You go to the exchange, and then you have So we have shined, or we have gone through those things to reach this level. It's not that something very great, but I'm just telling you what you can still achieve things with that kind of background is what I'm saying. Yes, then the next thing which comes in was the preparation for the competition. Like I said, going through the employment news. So 1 year prior, I started the prep. So I saw, my God, such a huge merit list, then waiting list, then this. And India, 140 crore people. So you'll always have competition, right? And the best talent is always sought for. Who doesn't want the best talent anywhere? So then came the thing for preparation. And that's where I'm going to talk a little. So what can you start preparing? Simple, military. We all think only running. I don't know how on earth, but I would get up at 5 o'clock. Before my mother would open the door, I would wear my thing, shorts, and I would go running. I would be scared because the place where we used to run used to have bears, the black ones. But still, all is good and well. Legs are okay, hands are okay, all went on safe. But how did I get that drive? And I asked myself today when I was thinking about this, when I was making the presentation, I was thinking, yeah, that passion was there. The dream was that aircraft, these are small steps in that. I knew, I didn't even know that there is something called a commercial pilot license that you can pay and become a license. I never knew these things those days. The only thing I knew was, okay, NDA is your thing, you get into NDA, you're going to go into flying, if you work hard, you'll get into fighters. That is what that Special Forces Army lieutenant told me at that time. He said, work hard, you'll get fighters. Okay, so working hard. Next slide, please. So the preparation started with that and some amount of one book and all that, and luckily it was all maths and physics, so we managed to click well, and somehow I managed to click it in double digits in the national list, and then I knew I'll get Air Force. But it didn't stop there, I must tell you the story. So I was generally about, those days around 86% was my average which I was getting in 12th. So these results are declared in October. And in after that I just switched off, and the end result was that the board exam result came down. Because I was very happy I cleared, I had a very good merit here. Actually I had 35th merit all India. So I knew I will get fighters. So the thing is, I slopped, that was a mistake I did. Okay, then we come back. So then starts my journey in the Indian Air Force. I started off with Air Force Academy. I'm still not, that's a time when you have this training after NDA, which is common for all three services, then you go into Air Force Academy. where you specialize only in Air Force subjects, both ground subjects and the flying, and in flying various types of flying. So you have something like basic approaches and landings, then you have aerobatics, then it goes on and on and on, firing and all that. In this Air Force Academy, there is a very interesting thing which I've written as wings. This wing, if you see on the bottom right of this projection, is pilot's wings. If you are not found capable enough to be a pilot for various reasons, in various phases of flights and in your ground subjects, you are not declared a pilot. So if you don't get a pilot's degree or a thing qualification, which happens in Air Force Academy also, you go into there is still a struggle there to get the wings. The moment you get the wings, nobody can take that out from a uniform. And that is one of my thing during my MiG-21. Everywhere there is, a performance in this. So that's on the top right is the Kiran aircraft. On the left is a MiG-21 that is in Haryana, and bottom left is on the first start. So generally you start off with flying the MiG-21s, and you perform, you go to a little higher version of the MiG-21, which is one is training MiG-21s, then you have the squadrons which are going to fight war with MiG-21s, and then we move, after you stabilize there for some time, then you move on in life, right? Yeah. So this is how it went on initially. Then after some time, yes, I started understanding the aircraft in 2 to 3 years of life. Then came the cruise phase of life. Just a little relaxation, right? Can you keep running always in life? Is it possible? Can you sprint always? No. You have to slow down. You have to bring your heart rate down. And then you again peak sometimes, right? So I had to do this. And this is all, like I said, in all hindsight, right? So, yeah, we had cruise phase where we're consolidating with the aircraft, flying, achieving mastery in whatever we're doing. So there's some air-to-ground firing happening on one of the Pokhran firing ranges on the left. On the bottom left is Cope India happening. Do you have a pointer by any chance? Pointer, Rama? No? Okay, fine. No. So, Aryan, you can move the mouse. Okay, bottom left is the formation. And then on the top right is, when my youngster days in the same MiG-29 aircraft which we're flying. And in the center is when we got married in 2000, and then we had a daughter in about 2 years. So life was progressing. And then second child, and that's my pick in TACD when I had gone to do my course, correct? So how it works in the Air Force is that you go into squadrons, you have appraisal systems, you have performances, you have, a gradation system works like it happens in every institution. And then you get picked for professional courses. That is a time when you get an opportunity to perform, deliver, and shine. So that's coming in the next slide. So that's how we get picked for a training in an institution called TACD. TACD is something called, like, as we call it in the Air Force, as a Mecca of fighter pilots. Mecca is like the most purest form or the best form, you can call it. So these institutions are actually placed with very professional people where they train one person per fighter squadron who goes and spreads that training standard and ensures that squadron reaches that standard. Now what does a squadron do? Every squadron is given a certain sector during operations or during war to deliver. So we have 1, 2, 3 sectors wherein he is responsible for protection of that particular area. So that's the reason why nobody can come in from that particular part. So there are a lot of squadrons distributed. Every squadron has got specific roles, specific weapon systems, specific training standards, specific qualificational requirements, and that's how the whole institution of Air Force works. So we were based out there, and this is in TACD, my second child here, Aryan. This is quite some number of years back. And next slide, please. Yeah, and then, so that's when I did this course, and a very interesting thing happened here again too. I was never number one in school. My sister was always a topper in school. So every time the standard thing, usko dekho, learn something from her. But the drive for English and Hindi and geography was not there, correct? But the drive for flying was there, the passion was there. So when I was doing the course, I still remember my wife and me, we were talking on the phone once, and we are from Tuticorin, so she was at home, and I was in Gwalior doing this course. So I told her, as usual, you crib. Cribbing is a birthright, no? Cribbing is to complain. So I told her, there's no time, only 4 hours I get to sleep every day, this, that. So finally she said, okay, every time you wanted to be a topper, no? Why didn't you try it this time and stop complaining after this? I said, okay, makes sense. And I asked myself, Ki Gade, why didn't this idea come to you yourself? She had to tell you this, but it reinforced. So I got a phenomenal support, which means if you have an aim, you have an opportunity, you have a determination, and you need some amount of support structure. Correct? Somebody sacrifices something for you. I had that luckily with my family. And then I went on to deliver, and I managed to do something worthwhile for myself in life, which I can be very proud of. An institution like TACD, and to get the first. The best thing is actually I'm holding a very historic thing in my hand, you know. That is a sword and a dhal of the Jam Sahab of Jamnagar. Actually, it has close to about 265 uncut diamonds. My wife used to joke, leave all this, tell them to give 2 diamonds to you, no? Why all this photograph only? So anyway, so that is a historic thing, and yes, after that I was lucky to become an instructor in the same institution. And I don't know how many of you have seen Top Gun. So in Top Gun, you know, you have a lot of flair and all that drama, but training institutions are very ruthless in the military. It's designed to bring out the best in you. It is designed to show you how much you can perform. It is actually designed to bring out your inherent capabilities, which even you don't realize sometimes. It can be running, it can be firing, it can be this kind of combat, studies, papers, teaching, briefings. So many things happen across the spectrum. So there we went on, and that's it, some certificates of merit and all that. So yeah, it seems very nostalgic. It was quite some time back. Almost, when was this? 2003, right? 20 years back. Yeah, not bad, we're still young. Next slide, please. Yeah. So then, you know, then we got into TACD. So again, we peaked, now just chilling out. So we had a lovely opportunity to go and visit Exercise Red Flag. You can note down this name or hear this, see this name, Red Flag. Google this. It is one of the most challenging exercises which happen in terms of fighter combat. So when Iraq War 1 happened, they realized that they lost a lot of, actually with Vietnam War, the Americans realized that they lost a lot of pilots because they never trained really. How do you train someone to real warfare? It's very difficult, no? You cannot generate a missile, you can't generate an opponent. But we simulate with best of our knowledge, experiences, and we try and create. They have created a very beautiful, actual thing in the state of Nevada. So they bartered to get that huge land of 200 by 400 acres and pretty large training center which they have. It's called Exercise Red Flag. And we were participating in this Red Flag, and very nice to know that, you know, our Air Force is one of the state of the art in terms of both pilot capability and of course the machines and advances. Yes, they're coming in. I mean, geeks like you are producing some wonderful software and hardware for all of us. So everything is getting technologically intensive. So that's where we're headed. That's a good thing for us. So there we were. Then I had a small stint in Japan. I did my staff college. So staff college is about an academic curriculum which you go and exchange ideas, opinions, and showcase your country out there. So I learned something in Japan which I'll come to later, which is called, it's a word called Ikigai. Anyone who's heard of Ikigai? I was talking to Ashok, of course, he knows it. You heard Ikigai? Yeah, great, nice. So we'll come to that in a while. Ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I. So in English, but it's written in Nihongo in a different way. So yeah, so finally I had some exposure. So what I'm trying to come to here, this aspect of life is, wherever you go, whatever you get presented on a platter in life, learn from everything. Observe, learn, see what you can better yourself in, and go that next step. This is another step. So somewhere down the line, among all my trash crap stories that I'm talking something sense. Okay? So that's the idea. Ashok, I hope I'm sticking to the point. Grit and determination. Roger that. Okay. The next slide. Okay, then we had this opportunity from there getting picked up for a thing called leadership. So 2 things happened in leadership. One was, sorry, I'm blocking this slide. Leadership, you know, very interestingly, I realized down this journey as I was having 2 children and as being the head of the family, a father, a husband, a son. So I think somewhere down the line, and that NDA taught me these things, right? So leadership is, I think, the most difficult to implement and to do. And believe you me, each one of us is a leader. And I'm very passionate about this topic. We are a leader at home. We are a leader to our children. We are a leader to anyone who looks up to us in life. It can be your driver, it can be somebody who works for you, it can be anyone. It's the way you conduct yourself. It is what you want out of them is to behave yourself the same way. It's something like calling the walk the talk. That means you do what you tell others, practice what you preach. It's very difficult, trust me you, but it is not impossible. So, leadership was something which is like really good, and I got to command this MiG-29 squadron. So imagine a dream to fly a MiG-29. I get to fly it, then I get to be a combat instructor in that same aircraft, and I get to command that same squadron in which I was a youngster. I think God has been very kind, all the blessings of elders and Almighty. I managed to command that squadron, 28 squadron. So each squadron in the Air Force is numbered, right? So this squadron is called 1st Supersonics. Incidentally, 28 squadron had participated, which was there in the initial thing in the video, had participated in the 1971 operations. And this squadron, with its MiG-21s, along with another squadron in the Air Force, number 4 squadron, they fired the rockets into the governor's house in Dhaka in 1971. And immediately the next morning, when they realized that, oh my God, nothing is safe in this country, the governor decided to surrender. And that's a historic surrender of, East Pakistan those days, which happened. And this squadron was, awarded the war medals and war honors for that. It's a big pride actually. So getting to command such a squadron is, again, more than the pride. When you get into the groove, you know what it is like. Most of us, when we're standing happy to get married, the bigger thing that hits you is the heaviness of the shoulder, the responsibility. So in leadership, the bigger thing is not the power, the bigger thing is the responsibility to be able to live up to those expectations of your superiors, the traditions, the name of your family and all that. So in the forces there is one interesting thing. I don't know how many of you have heard it. It's called Naam. Naam is name, Namak, salt, Nishan, your logo or emblem. So soldiers, why do they have the honor, the spirit actually to give away their most critical thing on earth, which is called life? They call it the supreme sacrifice, right? I mean, you must have heard about it. That comes from a lot of, your inner part of your soul is willing to devote itself for a very, very big cause. And that causes are Naam, which is honor. Okay. Your Namak, loyalty, and Nishan, which is dignity. Okay. So again, English words, but you can just read upon this. Naam, Namak or Nishan. It's a very beautiful concept that we work with our in the forces with the soldiers. And so that's it. So so that gave me a lot of drive of how can I revolutionize things and how can I make Scotland a better place for people to work. How can I give them the best quality of life at work, and how can they have the best family time at play? So this is something which I always liked or disliked in some contexts, in some places, that everyone comes there. If you come into the head of the institution at your place, you just want to change everything. I want the best thing. I want this, and then you don't even actually think of what are the people underneath going through. So empathy is something that you need to be conscious. What is empathy? To feel how the other person is, what is he going through or what is she going through. That is empathize. Okay. Then another thing I learned here during this journey of leadership is that do not judge. My wife kept telling me, whenever I come, I say, why is it so dirty? This, that. She'll say, what? Every time you come home, you only give one Gyan session. It didn't strike. But when you come as a leader, you realize that you get to see everything from a different perspective, right? But you don't know what they have done as work. When you start getting into the details, so understanding, oh, they were working. They worked for 8 hours last evening, they worked till 11 in the night, they delivered this. Mistakes do happen, but to be able to judge is not a right thing. Go, get into the facts, keep an open mind, and then you learn something. This is what I learned again during that period. And that's my family out there when I take over the command, and that is some ceremony. Next slide please, Arvind. Next slide, keep me on schedule. Yeah. And then, okay, that's Fulcrum 1. So the NATO name of MiG-29 is called Fulcrum. So when MiG-29s arrived in India way back in 1987, so this was the first squadron which got this aircraft. So they got the call signs of NATO names. So Fulcrum 1 is the CO's call sign, or the commanding officer's call sign. So that's what I'm trying to bring out. Fulcrum 1 days. So we had everything. We have a social system in squadrons. We have normal administrative work, discipline work. Everything happens in the institution. And this is the first time you are heading a bunch of about 30 odd pilots, 350 technicians and about close to about 50 to 60 class D employees, a lot of logisticians, doctors under you, and all as under your command. So it is a very responsible position, teaches you a lot of things. So which means with leadership, you can use that as a nurturing tool to build yourself even better. Next slide. Okay, and so that is one of the things which I want to bring out. When I was leaving the squadron, the gratitude and the josh, what we call in Hindi, or the energy that they show to you, the men you command, gives you a feedback of how good you were. You don't need anything else. You don't need an assessment. You don't need an appraisal. The love and care and that respect that they show you is a great thing. So, in fact, I have a small little video for 7 minutes or so, which is to bring the attention back again of that farewell video that they gave me. So they have a small thing of what I went through in that 28th squadron. Okay, I think just go to the next slide. Okay, switch to the video. I hope I'm not boring you all. Okay. Kids, video coming up. Sorry.
Why
one of my last flights on the MiG-29. That is just a tradition of bathing you with beer actually on your last flight after you come back. A very satisfying feeling actually. So that finished off one phase of my life, and then came in the next phase. Have to do something, right? If you're retiring. Some of you must be having this, I can only feel that question mark. Why did you retire then, right? Volume konja correctly. Okay. So yeah, I mean my wife is also, she has her own venture of business, and she's a pretty renowned makeup artist in Chennai. Her name is Reena Paiva. And so she wanted to settle down in one place. Actually, during somewhere in our stint when we were in Japan, I just realized that, you know, she also needs to make her own place in life. So in Hindi they call it mohar, which means seal, correct? So I used to feel that when you have name, it's not important what Paiva did, you know, what's Ashok doing. So I felt that even she has a right to choose. It took some time for me to digest it. And then yes, we decided to take a decision of coming and settling down in Chennai for the interest of her and my children's education. So I have two children, my daughter and my son. So they school in Sisha, OMR, and they're doing pretty well. So that's it. That's how I shifted to Indigo. Fine. I hope I have cleared that knot. So yeah, here now I'm in civil aviation. I have been with Indigo since 2017, and I'm just doing some chilled out job here right now, nothing much. The best thing is I don't wear a mask when I fly. I can see a sunrise every morning and I can have my coffee with that. And I can read a newspaper when I'm in cruise conditions. So that is the change and the upgradation in life. So I think with age and as I'm moving on with life, I think it was a wise decision. So that is it. And next slide please. So what happened in previous? Yeah. So what did I in short find for my little experience? Okay, these are just my forerunners. They may not be the right things. So the first thing is you have to follow your passion. Like I said, an emotional call comes from you, from within, that this is something that you like to do. To be able to find out what it is, there is one slide subsequently, very interesting thing. Please read up on this book if you want, Ikigai. So how do you find this purpose to live? That is Ikigai actually, purpose of your life. The next thing is, have the right attitude. What I mean by attitude is, a lot of things encompass in your attitude. Attitude comes from personality. Your personality is built up from behavior. Behavior's prelude is your culture, and culture's prior thing is your environment. So I think we as parents, we as people, as responsible positions in our company, both up and down, have a responsibility of having the right environment, which brings in a good culture, which gets a right behavior, which gets a good, kind of personality into people, and then I think we can produce wonders as a team. Next thing is to be patient. Be patient. Things take time. Even a baby takes 9 months to be born. So your growth, your success will not happen so fast. There is a time and a place. In this, there is a very interesting thing. Volume inna konja parayunga. Speaker volume parayunga. Very interesting talk by this guy called Simon Sinek on millennials in the workforce. He's got a YouTube video. It's a beautiful talk. He says, and I don't totally agree with him, but something is there sensible. He says that, this generation, because they are seeing more media, they have more visibility with the computers, with the everything. It's not a taboo. It is only how to embrace it, how to use it, how to get the best out of it is what we need to learn and teach them. And teach them through leadership. Teach them by you avoiding the phones at the wrong times. So he says that, the generation sees the top of the hill, but the generation does not know the path up the hill. The path up the hill is filled with falls. It is filled with failures. It is filled with bleeding. It is filled with bruises. It is filled with hurt. That is what they need to develop to learn. It's a very nice thing. So be patient. You will fall. You will stumble. You will rise again. So that's one thing that I have learned. Every time you fall, check what happened. Introspect yourself. And then start doing things in a way that you find joy in what you do. Have a belief in yourself. Trust yourself. Believe you can do it. You have to believe yourself. You can do it. That transformation which I said, that's why I call my transition happened in TACD. I believed that, I can do this much. Till then I was not believing. I always used to think this is luck. No, believe in yourself. And I think men need to believe a little more than women. I always find my daughter more self-confident. But yeah, I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about I for myself. I wasn't that confident initially. When I started getting belief into myself that I can deliver, things changed. In fact, when I was retiring from the Air Force, I didn't even have my civil license with me. So my mother and everyone at home were asking me, are you crazy? You're coming out of a commissioned officer service, you're a group captain there, and you want to come out, you don't even have your commercial license right now. I said, I've deposited, they'll give it to me. I've done nothing wrong to anyone in life. God is there with me. Something good will happen. It will come. So I retired on 4th of July, and I think I got my license on 21st from Delhi. So I still, I had that belief. So in anything, just believe. It'll happen. Don't worry. Think positive. And then within myself, I always have this self-competition. Somehow, for me, I've never run after medals. I've never run after number ones. I've never been in that thing to compete. I like to compete in the most healthy way as a challenge. So whenever I was even in TACD, I would be the first one to help somebody. Okay, you don't understand this thing, I'll teach you how we do it. Okay, this firing, this is how I am doing it. But in that, I like that healthiest competition and like to shine out of that. So my competition is only within myself, within me. So, yes, never run after your recognition, because, it's like your shadow. You can't chase your own shadows, right? But your work, your output, what you are as a person is your shadow. That will travel with you. So try and change that. Be fearless. Don't be afraid. Try things. Nothing wrong in failing. Even today, if I fly with a youngster as an instructor, as an audit pilot, if he teaches me something, I say, oh wow, I didn't know this, yeah, thanks for telling me. Nothing wrong. What are you trying to prove? To whom are you proving? Just have an aim to improve yourself. Simple. Observe. This is something I really love. If you keep noticing things, small things will teach you something. So try and observe and learn from others' mistakes. That's what wise people do. And yes, there are many small battles in life before the big victory of war happens, right? So yes, it is nice to win the little battles, but like I said, you will not win all the battles. So once in a while, next slide, it is good to lose battles also. All guys, you agree with me? Men? Married people, you agree with me? It's good to lose battles sometimes at home and then win, okay? Even Sun Tzu said the same. I don't know if Sun Tzu was married when he wrote this thing. Okay. Next slide. Okay, now come to this concept called Ikigai. So this is something I really like. And firstly, what is it? It's something that gives a person a sense of purpose. So if you see, he tries to find out this thing. Now, how did this concept come up is, there was one person who went on a research to this place called Okinawa. Okinawa was incidentally, one of the islands before Japan when this World War was happening. So they had, layers of defense. So Okinawa island was forward and Japan was sitting inwards. So Japan is made of many islands. So all the people came and literally, the fight was happening in that neutral place. Firing from here, bombs getting dropped. In Okinawa, in almost every garden in that city, you will have a bomb buried somewhere. They pounded that thing with so much of metal that it was, I don't know how those people are, but there's a village called Ogimi in Okinawa. It has the maximum number of people on earth per village density which live more than 100 years. So this person went and did a research there and found out that one of the reasons is they're very happy people. They have a joy with whatever they do. So again, not everyone can be a topper, right? So it doesn't mean you cannot be happy. So you have to find your Ikigai in life. What is it that you like? What is it that you can do best? God has gifted each one with talents. So each one has a different thing. For nuts, I cannot do binary coding 0 and 1, I will tell you. The first time I saw a computer was in National Defense Academy. The whole day was running around. Today my son is, comfortable with this programming and coding. I cannot understand even today. I tried. That is there on my bucket list, but I think it will still remain like that. So, believe you me, everyone is special child. Everyone has got wonderful things. You just need to identify the goodness in each thing, right? Yeah. So you have various kinds of things. What is your love? What are you good at? What can you be paid for? What are the world's needs? So you come to a particular, via media, and finally you get the center where everything is met. So you need money. You need to follow your passion also. You need to have recognition in your life, and you need to have other things. Correct? So that is what I found as Ikigai. So basically it just says here, live your Ikigai, stay active, take it slow, don't overeat, surround yourself with friends, exercise daily, smile, reconnect with nature, express gratitude. So things like that. Basically all giving your mind a good feeling, Next slide. Next. So basically when I think of what is life at 36,000 feet, I don't feel like going for work at all. It's never that I'm never at work when I'm flying. I enjoy it so much. So that is the bottom line of this whole thing. I had to find my own Ikigai when Ashok had said this. What is it? Life at 36,000 feet, it's just, I'm happy. I'm full of joy. And now I'm in that state of teaching people what I learned. Because I learned flying in a certain way. Like I again said, all blessings of elders and Almighty, I got it easy. Flying came to me quite naturally. So I want to teach it to somebody else in a scientific way, but make it easier for them. So that when we fly, at least in the airline industry right now, everything is safe and good. So that's my life in 36,000 feet. Next one. Okay, thank you. So yeah, so this is that little conclusion to the whole thing. So from dream to reality. If I can do it, why can't you? Each one of you. I'm just a simple person like any one of you, and that's it. The next slide. Yeah. So here I am open for your questions, and do dig into yourself to know what is your own Ikigai.
Hey crowd, just give another round of applause, please. So Ashok Paiva, what should I call you as? Group captain or Ashok or what should I call you?
You're just calling yourself Ashok.
No,
Ashok.
I sometimes really find it funny to call you Ashok.
Yeah, I know.
So let me call you bro, right?
Okay.
Bro. So bro, now this crowd is a very eclectic crowd. You have people from different backgrounds and all. But let me open the question with my, what I have been thinking about this whole topic and your life itself. So in the US, I used to drive a Mustang. In the Mustang OTA, you feel so much of pride, okay? So how do you stay humble after driving a down to earth? When I first met you, you're so down to earth, right? Now, what gives you that humility?
Think humble beginnings.
Okay.
So it starts with that. Second thing is, if you want to be joyful, you should keep your head in between your shoulders. This is all passe. That means this is all temporary in nature. What is permanent, I think, is your inner joy. For me, I find my inner joy in just being a simple person. Keeping life simple. I've seen people, this is again, I'm 49 years right now. I've seen with age that people complicate their own lives. And that's why I love that dialogue of Terminator, It is in you humans to destroy yourself. So why should we complicate our own lives? I keep it simple.
Okay. So there are a set of pre-populated... Hey kids, please can you sit down, please? Okay. So this is how the Q&A is going to work, okay? So we will be passing out a few sheets of paper for you to write the questions, and the adults will directly take the mic and you can ask them. After I finish a couple of questions to Paiva, okay? All right? But you guys all have to sit down, right? And then keep the, write the questions and give it to Auntie or to Dolly Auntie. So this question came from one of our running members. We have a huge running community here, and also cyclists. So for mortals like us, can you explain how is it like flying at 36,000 feet at supersonic speeds?
Okay, firstly is, the safest place to I won't call it drive, to fly is the air. Firstly because there are no traffic lights. There is no stopping and going. You stop, you fall off the sky. So you're always in motion. You don't feel it much because technology takes care of everything. You are, in a cockpit. The safest, I would say, people find fighter flying unsafe. I'll say fighter flying is the safest. You have an ejection seat. And there is a way to come out at each altitude. So there's nothing to worry about. And another thing is, like with your own training and with your own professional prowess, you will learn to smell your machine. You will learn to sense your machine. You will learn to be one with your machine. You're driving a cycle, you're driving a car, you're driving any machine. You can start feeling an indication of its failure before the actual failure occurs. Am I right or wrong? You will know, okay, wobbling, this, that. So we respect it. We come down and with each pilot is supposed to tell with that expertise that I'm hearing this at this setting of the engine, at this altitude, at this. So the aircrafts are pretty safe. You just buzz through at supersonic speeds. The instruments do some whiff-waff because of the compression of the air, and nothing changes after that. Some changes in the trim. We're trained to handle that. That's it. Nothing much serious. It's the same state of flight. We don't see the relative motion at that height. It's too fast. You don't even, actually when you come to land, because I'm coming down to the earth, you see the relative motion. But when you're sitting up there, you don't have any relative motion. So it's very comfortable.
Okay, I have one other question and then I will hand over the mic to some of the adults here.
Sure.
If there is one thing that needs to be changed in our perception about defense as a career, what would that be? So generally there is this perception about defense, right? With all this IT and other stuff, we have very few people going into defense. So what is this, how can we change that?
Okay, firstly, I think the other name of the armed forces or defense is services. You heard of this? The word? It's called services. You are doing your service to the nation. So it's absolutely a voluntary thing. Everyone has a different calling. Some may have a purpose to serve the nation. Some may have a purpose to be wanting to fly a fighter airplane like I did. Some may have a purpose to, just give it back to somebody because they've had a bad incident. So it's your inner calling. And believe you me, because it calls for a supreme sacrifice, you might as well be sure when you want to go and join the services. Also the quality of life. I mean, definitely I've seen life there for 22 years and right now I'm outside. I can definitely say that there are very many good things out there also. So it's like, it's your personal choice. Like when you choose, hardware, software, this language to that language, this vehicle to that vehicle, so it's your choice. It's how you're made of, what is your metal, you like discipline, you like chivalry, you like horse riding, so that's up to you. That's how you make your choice. But once you join, you're serving the nation. You don't ask for choices after. And that gives you a lot of pride. Yeah.
Thanks, Ashok. So we are at 7:50 now, so we'll wind up around 8 o'clock. So between now and 8, I'll open it up for the public to ask questions. First the adults, and then I'll collect the questions, and then I'll ask Piper separately from the kids. Okay? Anyone who wants to ask a question? Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ashok, for giving us the insights. So, I mean, I just wanted to know, like, at what speed or what is the maximum G that a supersonic can travel? Because I mean, recently I think you would have also seen in Top Gun. Is it possible to travel at 10 G?
You have what happens is when you're hauling the G forces, we constrict the stomach and down because this tissue from here to here takes the maximum portion of your blood. So the heart is supposed to pump. If you stop getting oxygen, your heart will stop beating because that is the driver for this. So the oxygen is the fuel for that, fuel to the brain. So we want extreme, fuel always readily available, oxygen going to the brain. So to prevent the flow, it just blows up and holds the blood from going down. That's an anti-gravity suit. So you generally can't spike up to 10 G for more than 7 seconds. So that is just a movie. Take it with a pinch of salt. That's Maverick who's doing it on stills and on videos and on graphics. You can't sustain that. We do have our anti-gravity training in Institute of Aerospace Medicine in Bangalore. So when we go around in a gondola, so this is the gondola, this is quite huge. So you have an arm, you have a capsule there, so you go around it. So that generates that centrifugal force. So it can go, depending on the RPM, that much. So when we go to 7G, you will see the cheeks going like this. You will find a whiteness coming in the face, and the doctor is monitoring. We have ECGs, everything running parallelly at that time, and they will peak, and they'll say, okay, stop it now. So we map for each human being what is my G tolerance. Sometimes we even get, because of that blood flow, so we call it goosebumps. Sorry, what is it called? G pimples. Sorry, yeah, G pimples. So you get, blood vessels rupture a little sometimes. You also get it sometimes when you have this, what is it, dengue, similar kind of a thing. Yeah, so that is our tolerance. So most of us have a tolerance on average between 7.75 to 8G for about 10 to 12 seconds, not more than that.
Thank you.
Related question. How high have you flown, and what is the fastest you have flown?
Okay, see, all these things of fastest and highest, is like when we go up, there is a mission in hand, right? So we go up to hold the sky safe, or we go up to get down an enemy aircraft. That's what fighter flying is about. So the highest, generally operational flying happens at between 28,000 to about 38,000 feet, which is about close to 7 to 11 kilometers in the air. Highest speeds I've done is about 2.5 times the speed of sound. So that is it, because when you go to that speed, you burn a lot of fuel. The idea is only to use that speed for a certain purpose. We don't want to burn up our fuel, because an aeroplane can carry either fuel or weapon. So we always carry bare minimum fuel and that much weapons, extra weapon. We want more weapons actually. That's how we fight the war. Thank you. Next question.
That
please.
would be one. I'll try to read a short message that I received for you before I ask my question.
Sure.
Dear pilot, thank you for risking your life for our safety. Our country is blessed to have people like you. I now understand how risky a pilot life is. Thank you again for what you have done. I'm inspired by you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure was all mine. I enjoyed my job, passion to fly fighters. I never realized I was serving the country. That's it.
Thank you. And my question is related to fitness. we know the academy really grills you. Okay, that's I dread it. It looks very inhuman to me. But we are a very fitness-driven community, a very active community. So my question to you is, what kind of fitness levels did you have before you joined the academy? Did you do any special preparation before you joined? And how could you keep up to the fitness levels that you have exhibited in the academy?
Okay, for the fitness levels, to start off with, the place that I grew up did not have a gymnasium. I don't know if anyone from the north can explain akhada. Akhadas are, you know, those places on the ground with wooden things, and those are your dumbbells. So we had those kind of things. So hanging on the trees and doing our chin-ups, that was the kind of things that I used to do. Running a lot, playing normal games, going to school by walk, coming back by walk, or going by cycle, which was a privilege. Because the physical activity that we did those days was so intense that I think that was the genesis of our fitness to start with. And thereon, yes, like you correctly brought out, the academy ensures that you will have the fat that a baby, newborn baby, will have just that much thin. Because we used to have a breakfast of 18 slices of bread with 2 cubes of butter, and a lot we used to eat, but we'd be having exercises running through the entire day. So there was no way that the fat would even think of accumulating.
Hi Ashok, thanks again for the wonderful sharing your life with us.
Pleasure was all mine.
Yeah, the question is, like you exhibited in your presentation as well regarding red flag. Do we have such facility here in India as well, where like the forces, especially the Air Force, stays combat ready? Like, because we had a skirmish in 2019, but we don't have, skirmishes in the air as much. So how does our force stays combat ready?
Very good question, excellent. You should have been a commander for the Air Force, I think. Okay, firstly is, yes, we did have training even before that, even before I joined the Air Force. But our level of training was restricted to the resources that we had in terms of both machines and the finances. But then a need came in and revolutionized our thinking process. It depends a lot. The Indian military is known to be aligned with its democratic process. It is absolutely apolitical, because we don't get into politics at all. But we suggest, we recommend, we come out with think tanks and things like that. So there is a training center. The same place TACD conducts, when we have the war exercises, we launch a huge number of aircraft, and in the numbers of 60, 70 plus, and now it's only increased more. And when we went for these international exercises, we realized that the way we were training was spot on. Imagine, we don't have the technology for simulators. Indian Air Force got its simulators much later. And I always feel bad. Our IT guys go and make simulators in CAE and all that, and we buy simulators from them at, close to 70 times the price, but we can't create one ourselves. So that's changing right now. A lot of innovative things happening right now in the country. And I think that way the exercises that you said are happening. There is a curriculum maintained, there is a currency that, like a flight commander is the operational head of a squadron under the commanding officer. So he's supposed to maintain a currency for each person. He doesn't meet, he's sent to go train and then come back. Only then he's considered as war ready. So that how. And then we regularly fly. The progression of flying is like you learn, you consolidate, then you become a teacher. And that is the cycle of fight up. And by the time you're 42, 41, that's the pinnacle of your flying. Then you come out.
Okay, we can take 2 more questions. Venkatesh.
We all have read about our squadron commander, or I don't know what's the rank. I should address him with the rank, Abhinandan story.
Okay.
There was a time Air Force pilot were considered like a big hero in our country. Okay. What do you know about that whole episode? I mean, what is your viewpoint of his achievement of going into the enemy lines, getting caught, and hardly people like that come back alive. So we got him back alive. So what is your experience, or what is your thought process on that?
Yeah. Firstly, it's very nice to hear this question. It's a part of the media, the visibility, the awareness. It's beautiful. I really like this question. Firstly, yes, we had an ingression of Balakot attack which came in from across the border, and just to throw some light, whatever is available in the open spectrum, is that we had the access activated all the way from Kashmir down to Rajasthan. So there was a strike. So you always, it's like, you know, now how do I give you? Suppose I say everyone is coming in from this audience into me or into this whole spectrum, I have to cover this entire place. But I know out of this audience, 90% are going to turn back. They're the decoy. And only 10% is going to come with the weapons. I don't know. I can't see it on my radar scope, but I can know a machine is coming in. So this attack was planned like that and gamed like that. But yes, our air defense forces were on alert, trained well, and were able to hold them off. So nobody comes like a kamikaze these days because everyone values life and machine. Each machine is upwards of 350, 450 crores. You can't lose even one machine. So, and that's a country we know how the economy is. So they came in on, they wanted to set an example and to create ruckus. And their pet favorite is the north. You know, the valley is their favorite. To get back in scores with what happened in 1971 with us. So when they had come in, there are various concepts of air defense. So in one of them we call it the, you know, like you chase on the way back. You sneak through that particular barrage and you still capitalize and get him down. So it is a, how can I put it? It is an error of assessment and it is a split-second error. So there were inputs that you can come back. You know, it's like, okay, you played this game of, what do you call that? That stones, no? Pittu we call it in Hindi. What is that called? Stack of stones. 7 stones. When you play 7 stones, somebody tells you, hey, come back. You say, no, I'll put it and come, no? Don't we all do it? What is it? It's an error of judgment. So it's very hard to say, sitting like this on a chair in a temperature of 24 degrees with no pressure on me, no sweat on me, very comfortable to say that. But in the heat of the moment, with radio calls of 42 aircraft happening, with your adrenaline pumping so high, with you carrying a macro pistol with 20 rounds in you, and you know that these are not training missiles, these are live actual missiles with a family behind you, it's difficult to say that. So what we do is always, as pilot community, we respect the decision of the pilot. So we respect what he took, and he got actually a great laurel of shooting down an F-16. Yes, an F-16 was actually shot. Very few years down the line, I think a book will be published. But that's what I can say as of now from what information I have and I have read about. And in terms of his return back, he's extremely lucky, only thanks to the media. Because somebody in the village let out a WhatsApp video and it quickly percolated to the valley again because these people have common towers. They have relations across the border. And from there it came all the way right up to, and within no time it was across the net, and India and the news published it. So the moment you get a thing like that, you cannot kill a person. What happened in 1999, I was posted in Bathinda when this squadron leader Ahuja got shot and Nachiketa came back. Nachiketa incidentally is flying for Indigo Airlines right now. So Ahuja got held by the Mujahids, whereas Nachiketa was with the army people. So we still know that the rule is you have to follow the UN mandate. You cannot, because you know that soldier is doing that job on the behalf of his country for his tricolor. It's not his personal gain or loss. So we respect that. We don't kill them. But war is war. All is fair in love and war. So that's what happened. Most welcome.
Oh, you guys have a question?
Yeah, most welcome. No problem. If somebody is hungry, you can go and get some dinner back, I think. Okay, I think I won't hold your plan back. Sorry, Ishuk.
Good evening, sir. It's a pleasure meeting you. So, my father's elder brother, which is my uncle, right? He's also a pilot in Army Aviation. He drove a
Helicopter.
Yeah, not a helicopter, advanced light helicopter.
Okay, ALH.
And my other uncle and my grandfather, they also served in the army. So, if you want to serve the nation directly or indirectly, right, do we have to be academically good and excellent? And we have to get more, how do you get more discipline?
Okay. Ma'am, I think you didn't need to push this lad. He's 500x smarter than me at that age. Good. What's your name?
Arnav.
Arnav. Okay, great. Okay, firstly, kudos to your...
One more thing. By the way, we are also from Odisha.
From Orissa?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So I did my schooling in Orissa, you know, it relates to that. So, Arnav, firstly, thank you so much. Nice question and good Josh. Nice to know that you are from a family of forces. In the splendid job that they're doing, I thank everyone who's, when I pray in the night every day, I thank people who are actually defending me and my country and me also. I'm sitting here peacefully because of them at the borders, right? So that's good. So, first thing is, academically, you need to be, you know, I won't say brilliant, but you need to have the attitude to work and improve from where you are. Correct? So everyone should have some academic upbringing, right? How do you gauge somebody that you will, you know, buy this, buy this? Like for example, if I give you an Android phone and a Redmi phone, which phone will you buy?
Android.
Okay, I'll give you an Apple phone, an Android phone, Redmi, MI. Which phone will you buy?
Android.
Android. No Apple? Okay, in Android, I'll give you an MI phone and I'll give you the latest, what is it? OnePlus 10 Pro, no? 10 Pro, right? Which, you'll go for the 10 Pro, no?
Yeah.
You want the best, right? You always want the best. Everyone wants the best. So how does somebody choose the best from people who have finished 12th standard? Till now, your numbers is your identity. Your mark sheet is your identity. So you have to struggle there. At least, because if you have the passion, you have the motivation to go for that particular thing that you like and love, you have to work for that, right? So you have to go a little harder because it's a selection which is quite, right now I think there are about 6.5 lakh people who apply per UPSC for NDA, and the seats I think have now gone up from when we joined 330 to about now 600 almost. That's the ratio, 6 lakh to 600. Okay, so but it's a mix of many things. It's academics. They look for an attitude, communication skills, leadership, value systems, so many things. So yeah, so that's one. And the other question was about?
Discipline.
Yeah, how do you build discipline?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you be disciplined? Why should you want to do a wrong thing? Do you realize when you do a right thing and a wrong thing, the difference?
Yeah, I do. But sometimes I feel too lazy. Right?
Lazy is different. But a wrong thing is different from a lazy thing. You can do a right thing in a lazy way. So do the right thing, that is discipline. You get that? And lazy is you have to decide whether you want to be the tortoise or the hare. And then don't feel bad that somebody else took it away from you. Yeah, okay. So it's an inherent drive, but my thing would be just believe what your parents say. There's no parent who wishes bad for their child. So just follow them, follow your teachers, you will be on track. God bless.
Thank you so much, Ashok Paiva. I think we'll close it for now, and then he'll be available to take questions directly. Okay.
Okay, come down. Give me a question. As I wind up, I'll speak. I think they will.
All right.
I'd like to know how you felt when you knew that you could die any moment to give your life to the country.
Okay, very good question. Wow, you ones are really brilliant. Yeah.
Sit down, sit
Yeah.
down, sit
How
down,
do you
guys,
feel
sit
when you had to give up when you knew that you're going to give your life for the country? 1999 Kargil, we were supposed to cross on a particular date. A mission was planned, and we were given weapon systems which are all updated and live weapons. So training munitions are different, live ammunitions are different. The fuses are put. There are some weapons, once you fuse, you can't even put them back in the armory where we store. We have to go and blast them. So it's costly, right? So everything is money. A government has to decide between the knife and the butter and the sword. So okay, this experience I had myself once, a very hard experience. My base commander tells me, guys, you're going on a mission tomorrow. This is your target. We know that we are on 50% success ratio there. It was a tough target, and we were in the first wave of attack. So we were told, don't go and talk to your parents at home. This is in Bathinda. And because the STD booth people are also rigged, they just get paid 500. Those days 500 was big money in 99. And they will communicate the information to the other people. And you will be like going in right into their fire. So yes, the first thing which comes to our mind is family. Suppose I'm not there, what will happen? Okay? But the beauty of forces is that the defense forces itself is family. That's why you will keep seeing veterans, Kargil heroes, we are in touch with them, we look after their families, we connect with their children, we try and give them some benefits, the government gives them some benefits, and thanks to you all, and I'm also one of them, I'm retired right now, when we say that I am from the forces and my father lost his life in the line of fire or my mother lost her life in the line of fire, you have a tremendous amount of gratitude for that person, right? So that belief that somebody will look after is one great thing. That gives a lot of support structure. But there is definitely nobody who can say that I don't love my life or it gives you a lot of butterflies, for sure. But yes, that's the thing that I chose to give my life for this nation. That's how it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So as a token of appreciation and as a symbol for, from our community, I ask Deepa to give you a small memento.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's super cute.
This is a small personalized memento with your pictures and your name on it. It's a watch box,
Wow.
or a multi-purpose box, and
you
it
so
comes with a
much.
lot of love for choosing to spend your time with us today and inspiring many young souls today. Thank you.
Yeah, the honor is mine actually. I appreciate the time and energy that you all have devoted to Deepa and to Ashok for having organized this event. I can see all these people here waiting here, and I'm sure many of you are waiting to rush back to your kitchens. And this effort is mind-blowing. Thank you so much. And all I can say is... All I can say is, be motivated. Want to do something, it's one lifetime. So just go for it.
Thanks everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. It was a lovely Republic Day. And thank you CBRE for putting this event, for doing a very good job. Thank you residents for being with us till the end of the event today.
Kids.